going on, everybody? It's Vols back with a special episode of Maddencast covering the NFC West division. I'm going to have OMG and Sundance with me breaking down the division. We're going to talk about who's going to win it, maybe any Super Bowl winners. So we're going to get right into it. Joining me tonight can be OMG and Sundance. How you doing, OMG?
I'm doing pretty good. Excited to talk about this division has a lot of probably the most newcomers of any division. So
Yep, it's gonna be interesting. Sundance, how you doing tonight, man?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on the show. Looking forward to talking about the my old division.
Man, we
And
had
some
to,
familiar faces, but as OMG calls out, a lot of new faces.
yeah. I mean, we had to get somebody on here because really you got Devo and Wood. Um, Devo just moved over there today with the team swap. Wood is back. You got newcomer Wild Dog and newcomer Ernie Adams, who I believe you referred both of them to the league, if memory serves me right.
I
Is that
did.
correct? Yeah.
Yeah, in a league VML.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was right. So, who better than you to kind of, these two, kind of what they're going to bring, hopefully, to the league, bring to the table. So, we're going to jump straight into it. So, like I said, Devo moved over he's went from Chicago to Buffalo to now Arizona. So he's with the Cardinals. We got Wood, who is Mr. Three-time Super Bowl runner-up. And then you got Wild Dog with the Rams and Ernie Adams back with the Seahawks. I think he completed 2 seasons last cycle with the Seahawks after Waffle had to dip out. So yeah, that's kind of how the division's shaping up to be. OMG, just give us your outlook on this division for the cycle of MHU. What do you see happening out west in the NFC?
so it's funny because I thought Ernie Adams and Wild Dog sounded familiar. So the fact that they're from VML makes sense. I had a couple stints over there. I don't remember much about them, but you can never underestimate the new guys. So I'll talk about Wood and Devo first because I'm familiar with them. Devo is obviously my father, and then Wood. Um, Wood honestly reminds me a lot of Bread in both like the way he looks, the way he speaks, and the way he plays. Um, Wood's a tricky one because I feel like I don't know. He started off and legit. I thought he was going to be like top 5 player in the league when he came in, and then he kind of just fell off. I don't know if it was like family or work or whatever. So he's definitely got the most complete team in this division, and probably the best sticks. So I think he's probably going to run the division. The next best roster, in my opinion, is the Cardinals, and my dad is frustrated a bit offensively. I remember maybe like Madden 19 or something like that back when defense actually worked. His strength is defense. So um, if Madden continues to be the way it's been past couple cycles and it's all offense, I think he's going to struggle. He's got a lot of really old studs and some players to develop. Um, but I don't know. We'll see if he can play defense again, then I think he'll compete with Wood. He's had a few good games with him. So, but I think those are probably the two best teams out of what I know. And then Seahawks are kind of rough roster wise. But if Wild Dog if he can make some moves, I think he'll be all right. And then Ernie, I don't really like that Rams team. Like I know they got Ramsey, I know they got Aaron Donald, but aside from that, their receivers are slow. I feel like they don't really have any linebackers. Um, and then they traded Goff for Stafford, so I don't know. He's got definitely got some work to do with that team. But it'll be interesting. Um, yeah, I think Wood will probably take most of the division wins. Um, and then depending what Devo does with his team, because that's a really nice team. That's probably going to make the difference in that division.
All right, Sundance. What's your you know these two guys better than anybody? You know Wood probably better than anybody. What you're thinking?
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely, especially with Prevail's departure out of the division in the last day or so. This is Wood's division to lose, really. Everyone knows Wood really well. Me and him had a lot of back and forth games the last two cycles. Obviously, being in the same division last year, he's a great owner. He runs the ball very well, as OMG called out. Has great stick skills on defense, so he can play with anyone. He's shown that. He's been to 3 Super Bowls, so he's the owner to beat, and he has the best roster top down in the division. And then Devo's tough too. I mean, Devo, he doesn't make the playoffs a lot. He's traditionally been in the weaker division of Madden Heads United, but to OMG's point, he plays good defense. He's always played me pretty tough in most of the games we played. I remember he beat Mickey one time in a regular season game. He's made the playoffs before, almost beat Amazing in a wild card game. I remember Amazing had to have like a 2-minute drill to beat him at the end of the playoff game. So he can play, right? And he has a good roster. The Cardinals roster has a lot of speed on defense. Obviously has Kyler Murray, Hopkins at wide receiver. So it's a good roster. So I think he'll be able to compete with a lot of people, at least early on, and we'll see how that goes seasons 3 through 5. If he can continue to develop his roster or draft well or trades or whatnot, because he's got some aging pieces in the front 7. And I think Wild Dog, so the two people I referred, Wild Dog, who's going to be the Rams, and then Ernie, who's the Seahawks. Again, I'll agree with OMG on a lot of the points around Seahawks rosters. Like, it has good pieces, has a great quarterback, DK Metcalf, but it does have a lot of holes, or it's at least kind of aging. You have Bobby Wagner, but he's older. So Ernie was respectable in VML in terms of he made the playoffs, I believe, a few times. So he might be able to compete, but I don't know about with that roster unless he makes some moves or can develop really well. And then Wild Dog, I like the Rams roster. They added some speed to offense. You have Akers and Henderson, so a good 1-2 running back combo. And then the receiving core, they added Deshaun Jackson with, I think, 95 speed in the game still. And then Tutu Atwell they drafted, who has 93 speed, I think, in the game when I was looking at their roster. So they've added a little bit of speed, and they still have Woods and Kupp. And then the defense, Darius Williams and Ramsey are good. The safeties are a little of a question mark because just the speed ratings, and John Johnson is left. So a little shaking on the back end, but the Rams have a good roster, so I think Wild Dog could make some noise over there, maybe steal a division or two. But this is Woods' division
kind of broke up right there
to lose.
Repeat that
Good owners we know, so I mean I'd pick Wood to win almost every year. Maybe a Serpents division to lose, as I kind of started out, and I think he'll probably win the division every year. If maybe 1 or 2 years someone surprises and wins the division, but I think Wood maybe takes this division every year.
All right. So let's go kind of touch on the next thing. Does who wins this division season 1? Wood? Is that kind of the consensus here, OMG?
Yeah, I definitely would go with Wood. If Wood didn't win the division season 1, I'd be surprised. I'd assume that he's tanking.
Your thoughts, Sundance?
I agree. I think that if there's any year that anyone else is going to win it, it could potentially be year 1, because I know the Niners have the best roster to start. But if Wood continues to develop his passing game, which you could tell he tried to do at the end of last cycle, and he got a little bit better. Like, he still struggled at times, like if his first read wasn't there. But if he had some good play sets, he developed the passing game a little bit better. I noticed the last season or two when I would play him. So the first year, someone might surprise us, but I think Wood wins it year 1. But I'm not going to be shocked if someone surprises us. But Wood's going to win it the majority of the time for sure.
All right, I'm gonna rephrase that question. Does Wood lose the division at all in the entire cycle? OMG.
I could see him losing at least one, maybe two. We don't. Well, personally, I don't know how good Ernie is, and I don't know how good Wild Dog is. Like I said, Wood. I mean, Bread is always going to be like top of the top. And Bread can play at that level, or he can be pedestrian. So it just really depends on where his mind's at, how dedicated he is to practicing, like stuff like that. Like I think if he thinks this division is going to be a cakewalk and he doesn't practice and he just loads up and play, I think he's going to go 500 against the teams in his division. These rosters have a lot of good playmakers, and the guys could very well kick his ass if he falls asleep at the wheel.
Right. You were saying Bread there, but I think you meant Wood. Is who you were talking about, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was just like comparing Bread. Like there's
Gotcha.
playoff
Okay.
Bread and then like pedestrian Bread. Wood to me is like the same way. Like
Okay.
he can
Gotcha.
get up there, but yeah.
All right. Sundance. Does Wood lose the division at all?
Yeah, I think 1 year he might. Again, I'm not going to be surprised, especially if it maybe happened year one. But again, I think Wood's going to come in, chip on his shoulder. He felt like year one last cycle was going to be his year to finally get over the hump, win a Super Bowl, and he got there again, was in the position to do it, and then Jaden got his second ring, right, and kind of handled that game, just ball control. So I think he's gonna be hungry, and just Wood was never able to get back to that game last cycle. So, yeah, I mean, I think he'll lose division once because, like to OMG's point, sometimes he'll be a little bit different focus in the regular season, right? So, I think he'll lose it at least one time, but probably win it the other 3 or 4 times. 4 times because we're gonna go 5 seasons. He'll win it the other 4 times.
Yeah, and that's what we touched on. I'm glad you brought that up. We touched on last episode. Definitely going
Yeah,
5 seasons. Last cycle got cut short just with the whole you playing on PS4, playing on PS5, can't get a PS5 type thing. So
yeah, hell
back
yeah.
to, I mean, the 2 cycles before last cycle were 5 seasons. So yeah, definitely get back to 5. See if we can't make a run to 6. We'll see. All right, so 2 more questions for you real quick, just yes or no on this. Is this division the worst division in MHU for this cycle?
I'm gonna say no.
Okay,
That's a negative. I think there's a
Sundance.
worse division.
No, it's not. Yeah, I'm gonna say no. It's not the worst division.
Okay,
No.
all right. And then last question, and then we'll let Sundance wrap it up with any information he has about the division or anything he wants to add to it. But last question, OMG, does anybody in this division win a Super Bowl in the cycle of Madden 22 in MHU?
I'm gonna have to say no. I think Wood might make it to the Super Bowl. I could definitely see him making it to the Super Bowl. But I don't see him winning it. No, I don't see it.
Sundance.
That's tough. If anyone's going to win a Super Bowl in this division, it's going to be Wood. Like I've said, he's been there 3 times. He doesn't have a great passing game, as everyone knows. But again, he did try to develop it at the end of the last cycle, and if he kind of builds off of that, you never know. I mean, he's got weapons. He's got 2 receivers, stock receivers. He's got Kittle. I mean, he needs to not do what he did last time and kind of get too crazy with the roster. I think if he keeps a roster in place, it develops those receivers, maybe finds another running back in the long term, I think he could. He might win a Super Bowl, but I don't think it happens just based on the history, but you never know. But I don't think so.
All right. You got anything? Either one of y'all want to add to anything? I'm out of questions, so just at this point, anything y'all want to add regarding
No.
the division?
The only thing I will say is that to everybody not Wood in this division, even though we think he's gonna win, you can still shock the world.
Yeah. On my end, I guess the only thing I need to say is I agree with you. I think Wood's a great player. He could shock the world. And I guess I'll just end it on this note because all the shit talking last year at the beginning of the cycle. Glad to pass the torch for the division over after I dominated the division for an entire cycle. So I'm looking forward to see what Wood does over there after my departure. I'll leave it at that.
All right, there you have it. It's going to wrap up the NFC West division. It's pretty good conversation. It's going to be